Hi guys, today I'm going to talk to you about how to do this Excel assignment. First of all, I have the full data set here. Now this is an older data set, you're not going to find your responses on this, but we're just using this for the purpose of this course. We're just going to use this data set for your project. Now, one thing I want to point out about the survey that you took and as well as the responses that you have here, um, the survey did not ask for male or female, and it did not ask for ethnicity, and that is a huge limitation of this research because you need to be able to identify your sample. So that would be a good piece of information to add to your limitation section in your discussion. um, I will show you in my paper. This paper, I referred to it before, I'm going to refer to it again. Okay, so in my discussion section, I do have limitations right here, right? Limitations to this study. Now, it would be even better if there was like a heading here. This is one of my first drafts of this paper. Um, but having male or female and ethnicity listed is important. So since we don't have that, we can't report it. But the information we do have that we can report, this is not typically information that you would see in a lot of studies unless they were focused on these types of questions. Age is always in there. You need to have the age of your participants. Since this is a student sample, class status, like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, that's actually really important to have. Um, Even first generation college student is good for this because it's students. However, that's not a uh, typical question asked unless it's relating somehow to the hypothesis and the point of the study. But age and class status for students are really important. But we're going to report all of these because we have them and it will give you guys some really good practice. So anyway, I have these divided up into separate columns, and I have a separate column for each of these because I want to be able to have the numbers reported down here really um, organized. So here is one function I want you to use. So for this question, what is your class status? That is a discrete answer. It's not a continuous. It's not like age where it could be this huge range of numbers. It's basically you have four options, right? For this particular sample. So freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. I guess there's a 5 in here. We'll just put master student for 5. Okay. You need to make sure each section has a name because otherwise you won't have any idea what they are. Okay. So what you're going to do, and I've already done one here, count if. So you can actually take that, copy it, paste. I can paste. Okay, so, and I would just change this to 2. So, and it will count for me. You can also drag, but then you need to put dollar signs. So you can put, I believe it's before, maybe after. Now you use the dollar signs, I just can't remember how exactly. This should be a different number. No, it's not. Of course not. Oh, okay. Here we go. 3. All right. So you see, you just use the countif function. You're basically counting how many there are here. So here, I just counted the entire section because I want to do percentages. So when you report this, you're going to say there were freshmen N equals 1, and then you would have 1.06%. And you do this, you have to have 2 decimal places. I can't stress that enough that APA style, it's not that I'm picky at grading, it's that APA style is extremely picky in what they want when you have to turn in a paper. So they want 2 decimal places, and all your statistics, like the letters, need to be italicized. So you can see that I have the M and SD italicized here, and I have a little n for the subsample. Okay, so these are little subsamples of this bigger sample. Now, for the larger sample, it's a large N equals 94. So there are 94 responses, and you italicize. Okay, so when you report it, you're going to report a sample of N equals 94 college students, blah, blah, blah. But this is how I want it to look when you report it in your paper. So I'm going to leave these here so you guys have them. But basically all I did was I used a formula, this divided by that, and put it there. And it gave me the percentage. And when you have a percentage, it'll give you maybe that. So I just hit the percent button whenever it came up with this big decimal. I'll hit it again. See if it'll. Nope, it won't redo. But when I hit the percentage button, it just gave me 1%, but the decimal was very long. This is how you change how many decimal places there are. So I wanted 2. Alright, so you're going to do the count function for each of these. Now for the mean and standard deviation, these are questions like how many hours are you taking? So this is a question that doesn't have like 1 equals this one, like 1 equals 1, taking 1. 12 hours, credit hours, they're taking 12. So I just got the mean, which is just, here's the function, and the standard deviation, and there's a function for that. And you're going to do that for their ages and how many children they have. So I know that sounds weird how you would do that for how many children they have, but they can have so many children. Somebody could have 10 children. So you're not going to write how many people got 0, 1, 2, 3. You're just going to report the average number of children and the standard deviation of that number. And then finally, are you a first generation college student? Yes or no. You're also going to have a percentage of that. So you need count, which I still want you, the count should equal this. So you're going to use the same function right here that I used over here. And you're going to put that right there. You're going to put percentage yes and percentage no. So all that information goes here. And then for the results section, what I want you to do is take your 2 questions. So you're going to go back to the full data set. You're going to find the 2 questions. I don't want you to have any more than 2 because it gets too confusing for students. You need to just have the 2 questions. And you will take them and you'll copy and paste. So I've already copied. So you just highlight by clicking here and right click, copy. And then, so this is how important it is for you to get an A in this course. Okay, and then you can click here and paste. And it's going to paste there. So I have 2 questions that I want to use for this particular part of the assignment. And the first thing I'm going to do is get their means and standard deviations of both of these sets. So I'm highlighting all of this. Maybe. How important? Okay. Maybe. Why is this? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it doesn't appear. Let's say mean average of, and then I'm going to highlight all this and click return, and it's going to give me that. I'm going to go up here because you're only reporting 2 decimal places. I'm going to let it do the rounding for me. And then standard deviation, you put equals STDEV, and then highlight again, click return, and let it do the rounding for me. Now, for how important it is for you to get an A in this course, this should have been like a 5-item scale. Maybe 1 is, there seems to be a lot of 1s here, and 2s, and 1, 3. So, let's just say we're going to get the mean of that anyway. Because if it were a question where it had only 2 possibilities or 3 possibilities, we may not do that. But so I'm going to get the average of this again, and click return. I'm going to get the standard deviation of this, and then click return. And I'm going to make those a little bigger to match the other things, and I'm going to make sure they are 2 decimal places. Okay. So I have the mean standard deviation. Now I'm going to get the correlation. You guys are going to have to do this for your project because you should have a question of association. So I'm going to select all the data, don't select the question, and don't select the mean and standard deviation. I'm going to select all the data. I'm going to go to data, data analysis. No, not regression. Correlation. Okay. And then I guess I have to select it after I pick correlation. I can't select it before. There's the selection. You can see you can tell when it's selected or not. And you click OK. And then it's going to give me a new sheet with the column 1, column 2, column 1, column 2. Now, you don't really need to change the names because, there's only one correlation you're doing, but the correlation is negative 0.196. So you're rounding that to negative 0.20. And you go back to results. So negative 0.20. Now you are keeping this sheet here. I do not want you to delete this sheet because I need to see that you actually did this correlation. Okay? I don't want it just a number here. I need to see that you didn't just create a number. However, I am just creating a number for the p-value, so you guys don't have to worry about that. Okay, so negative or 0.045. Just an FYI, I'm gonna put this in red so you guys remember. Hopefully you'll remember. Just an FYI, this has to be rounded to 2 decimal places. So if p equals 0.045, then when you report it, you're going to say p is less than 0.05. Okay? And you're going to make sure that it's italicized. So that's how it's reported in your paper. That means significant. So everyone's results, even if this R is 0, everyone's results will be significant. Statistically significant. I hope that makes sense. This is just so you guys can get through this paper. if you don't have access to the SPSS, get the p-value easily. Um, I just want you guys to have this for your paper. So here's the rundown. I have all these questions that I want you to report for the demographics. So in the subsample, or in the subsection, subheading of your paper, under the material, here's materials, under the methods, here's participants. So you can tell how I wrote a sample of n equals 110 mechanical Turk workers. You guys, a sample of n equals 94 college students or university college students or whatever. And then I gave the range of age and the standard deviation of the age. You can say we're given course credit for this for participation. And then you would start to put their information. So you could put they were first generation college. You put the number and percentage of first generation college students like I do here. Okay, now this should be, just gonna put zeros. This should be 2 decimal places every percentage, every standard deviation, every mean. So when I reported female, n equals 65, and then I put the 59.10%, and then they're mostly white, n equals 86, and you notice this n is small because it's a subsample. This n is small because this is a subsample. The full sample is a large n. All right. So if you're reporting these little n's, just report the percentage as well. And so this is the participant section. Now, note as you're doing this, getting all your stuff compiled for your method section. You also have to look at materials that you use. So refer to the full data set, and you can count the number of questions that are in this because that's going to be needed to be reported. But back to this, I also want you to do a correlation graph. So you're going to select your data. You're going to go to, maybe it's data. Oh wait, insert. And then this is a scatter plot. Scatter. Okay. So there's your scatter plot. So what was the questions again? I was studying importance of an. So correlation between I was studying and importance of getting an A. Alright. So I want you guys to each have a scatter plot in the results section here. Right? So you're going to have, in this section, you're going to have the mean and standard deviation of both of your questions. You're also going to have your correlation. The p-value I'm going to have in there, but I just want you guys to have it, but I will keep it in there and I won't erase it. You will end with your correlation. It'll make a new sheet. You can rename it if you want. And in the participant section, all of these will be filled out. Okay? I hope that makes sense. So this will be the assignment for the Excel data file assignment. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know. I am more than willing to help you with anything that you would need help with. All right? Talk to you later.